Multnomah County District Attorney Nathan Vasquez spoke with lawmakers on Thursday about the ongoing public defender crisis. Earlier this month, the Oregon Supreme Court issued a deadline for defendants to be issued public defenders before the case gets dismissed. The DA telling lawmakers Thursday that the ruling has led to hundreds of cases dismissed in Multnomah County. Fox 12's Leslie Dominique joins us now live from Southwest Portland. She has more from the DA, along with stats on case dismissals and word from the state's largest public defender provider. Leslie, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Nora, while in a meeting for a legislative subcommittee on public safety, DA Vasquez voiced his concerns on an ongoing backlog of defendants going without public defenders. Now, we know that in a response to this Roberts ruling, hundreds of cases may never reach a courtroom.
We've already reviewed 772 of those cases. We quickly determined that 623 are going to be dismissed.
More than 600 criminal cases will be dismissed in Multnomah County following a landmark ruling from the Oregon Supreme Court. Earlier this month in State versus Roberts, the court ruled that criminal cases must be dismissed if a defendant is not appointed an attorney within 60 days for a misdemeanor or 90 days for a felony after arraignment. But the impact varies by county. Marion County cleared its unrepresented cases before the decision. Clackamas County has 11 under review, and as of this report, Multnomah will dismiss 632 cases. District Attorney Nathan Vasquez says the crisis was already straining his office. In January, he says 146 felony property crimes were filed, but only 36% of defendants had an attorney.
That's a massive number. It's almost 100 cases that didn't get attorneys.
Carl McPherson, Executive Director of Metropolitan Public Defender, the state's largest trial-level defense provider, tells Fox 12 that while the number of unrepresented people statewide is dropping, in Multnomah County, cases are rising and attorneys are at capacity. In a statement supporting the Roberts ruling, he said in part, quote, "The response cannot be to force appoint attorneys to clients they cannot ethically represent. Our public defense system is overburdened." Thursday, Vasquez emphasized what these dismissals mean for victims.
We talk about these in terms of misdemeanors and felonies, but the reality for victims, these are real things. These are assaults. These have real-world effects on Oregonians.
In January, Governor Tina Kotek appointed Ken Sanchagrin to lead the Oregon Public Defense Commission after serving as an interim director. State data shows unrepresented defendants dropped 32% over the past year, from nearly 3,800 to just under 2,600. Sanchagrin says the state is working with Multnomah County to prevent further dismissals.
The state through OPDC is trying to be proactive in working with local partners to ensure that we can provide representation for as many of those cases as possible.
Now, Sanchagrin went on to say that the state is working with DA Vasquez to develop new docket strategies. Now, those would focus on felony cases that have not yet been dismissed because of the Roberts rule, as well as cases that could be refiled. For now, reporting in Southwest Portland, Leslie Dominique, Fox 12 Oregon.